This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sport Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Friday, November 22nd. Man, it's almost Thanksgiving, and we got a lot to be thankful for here today on the program. Richard Fant, the former defensive lockdown for the Hoosiers on the football side, he's played against these Michigan teams. We're going to talk to him about it. Tom Brew will be with us later on as well, but you got Coy O'Leary here. We got plenty to get to today. Football, basketball, soccer, it's all going on. Todd Leary, how's your day going, man?
I am feeling exceptionally knowledgeable today, so I'm just some people.
Excellent. Juwan Morgan signed with Utah
I can tell
yesterday.
You're super excited.
Absolutely. Fired up, ready to get going. So much to get to, man. Juwan Morgan, great news for him, as saw yesterday. He has signed a multi-year deal with Utah. So congratulations on him signing a full-fledged pro contract, man. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? You know who should be really excited about that and who should learn from that? Justin Smith. Because he could model his game so much. There wasn't anything Juwan Morgan did other than be 6'8" and pretty athletic. That's God-given. The rest of it is just pure effort. And Justin Smith has the God-given part, is fortunate enough to have that. If he can match that effort and drive to rebound and be a great teammate, he could sign a long-term NBA deal as well.
Absolutely. Good morning to Joker, as he says, good morning to the ISB team. Good morning to you. You're absolutely right. And the funny thing is Justin Smith is 10 times the athlete. And this is not disparaging Juwan. He's a great athlete. But Justin Smith just he's a prototype athlete. This dude, from an athletic standpoint, my God, he's got a 48-inch vertical leap. He's just got that perfect Adonis-looking body. I mean, he has got the tools if he can put it together.
Yeah, and truly, it comes down to attitude and effort. And if a guy like him can understand what it takes and what's expected and the effort that goes along with it, the ceiling is just super high for a guy like that. And that's why Juwan Morgan, that's a guy that got, I think, way more out of his body than what was probably going to be expected when he came in as a freshman. That guy's effort is, it was difficult to match that. But that's what Justin Smith needs to do if he wants to get to that level. They'll develop him into making outside jump shots if they need him to. But the NBA is never going to draft Justin Smith based on his scoring ability. They're going to draft him if he is the leading rebounder in the Big Ten or way up there nationally. So hopefully he learns a lesson from that and kind of to model his game after Juwan Morgan. Sorry, Juwan Howard. I always say that.
And that brings up something else. For whatever Tom Crean's inabilities were at coaching or what do you want to talk about? I'll tell you one thing he did a hell of a job is finding guys that would be future NBA players that damn sure were not looking that way when he found them. Victor Oladipo, OG Anunoby, Juwan Morgan. There's others that are in the NBA that he brought in, but those three guys, man, they were all 3 stars or below, I think. These were not the guys that were on the radar as being these big-time potential players, and yet they're all in the NBA.
Yeah, those guys' games, from a recruiting perspective, that was kind of the model that Crean was looking for, and I think probably still to this day looks for. That's what he feels best coaching, and kind of that big wing, real athletic guy, and maybe because you put Victor Oladipo into that category, and I think you're exactly right. When he got to Indiana, he is nowhere near the player he is today. And that was all through hard work and dedication to it. But, those guys came in as super athletes, and they left as super athletes that are much better basketball players. And that's what you're looking for. And that's what Crean, that's the type player he looked for. And, you and I talked about this the other day, though, and it was kind of your point is, yes, you need to have guys like that, but you can't have a whole team full of guys like that. You have some other complementary players that have some specific skills like shooters, and you need big guys with big bodies to pound on people and get rebounds and wear the other team down. So, yeah, I mean, I'm getting off on a tangent on that, but you're exactly right. I mean, those guys are a prototype player that Crean was looking to recruit, and that's what he brought in.
Also, some news yesterday, Stepanak and Westbrook both accept Shrine Bowl invites to play after the season's over, so congratulations to those two guys. We're going to be talking to Rashard Fant later in the program. He played in those games that went to overtime against Michigan. Looking forward to talking to Rashard again. He's been on the program before. He was a lockdown defender, man. I remember that. Can't wait to talk to him again. Last night, the Colts lost to the Texans, man, in a tough game. They had a shot at that, but Deshaun Watson was pinpoint accurate last night, man. I don't know if you saw this game, but boy, he was putting them on a dime.
Yeah, every time they got him out of the pocket and it looked like it was going to be a breakdown play, he threw exactly the perfect pass. I mean, he was hitting guys to the sidelines. He was hitting guys diving for passes to get that first down, and he just extended so many drives. I think that's why everyone was so excited to watch them play against Lamar Jackson in Baltimore a couple of weeks ago, and man, Houston laid an egg and Deshaun Watson laid an egg, and I think I'm taking some credit for this, but I think I told you before that game started for the weekend that Deshaun Watson is a guy that he either looks like one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL or one of the bottom 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, and last night he was up there and looked like one of the top ones, and so unfortunate for the Colts. That's definitely a game they needed to win, and that one's going to hurt. They're going to have to do. They're kind of like Indiana. They're going to have to do something special for the remainder of the NFL season in order to get themselves a decent playoff berth.
Yeah, they're kind of putting themselves in a hole by losing these close games. There's been a couple already this season that they have just let slip away, and there's just really no reason to. I mean, these were games and in the NFL, man, you just can't do that, and they've done that more than once this season.
Yeah, the way they ran the football last night, that's a game you win. Like they controlled the game, they controlled the pace of play, and the defense. Truly, the defense on first and second down was awesome last night for the Colts. It just that third down ability to get out of the pocket and make plays. That's why that type of quarterback has become, successful. And the Baker Mayfields of the world and Lamar Jacksons of the world, those guys, were drafted where they were. And I guess I'm leaving out Kyler Murray, the number 1 overall pick. But I mean, those guys are what they are because of their ability to extend not just plays, but drives. And last night was just a perfect example of that from Deshaun Watson.
I like to call him calamari.
Why is that?
You had to have seen the clip that it was a year ago when Alabama was playing Oklahoma in the national championship or in the playoffs, rather. I forget the player's name. They were doing all the press stuff, before the championship game. And this guy, someone had asked this player if they had played against a player, the caliber of Kyler Murray. And he begins to answer. He's just sitting there all cool. He goes, I have not played against a player of the caliber of Calamari, but I don't think Calamari – well, here's the best part. He goes, but I don't think Calamari is – and he just stops. And all you hear is, I'm good. It was like Nick Saban reached out and grabbed him by the throat as a ghost and shut him up. I swear, it was one of the funniest clips
going up
we
against
played on
any
show.
quarterback that slightly resembles Kyler Murray.
It was.
I don't feel like I have going against a quarterback slightly resembling Kyler Murray, but I feel like Kyler Murray is not where everybody.
What's that?
No, I'm good. I
never get tired of that, man. I don't think Kyler Murray. I'm good.
I'm good. Now, from now on, when I don't want to answer a question, I'm going straight calamari on you.
I swear, man. It was like Nick Saban reached down and just grabbed him by the throat and say, "It's time to shut up."
Yep.
And he did. Some basketball action last night involving Big Ten teams. Iowa won 83-68 over North Florida as they getting their tune-up going. I think I saw Minnesota played as well. I had 82-57 over Central Michigan. Let's see. Notre Dame, a future IU opponent. Man, I talked about them yesterday, Todd, that they kind of had fallen off. Or they had been riding kind of high under Mike Bray, but just kind of fallen off here. They won last night, 64-62 in overtime over Toledo. But kind of going slow for the Fighting Irish right now.
Yeah, they trailed most of that game, so they probably feel fortunate to come out with a victory on that one. But another Indiana opponent that their future opponent they're going to play pretty soon. Connecticut played last night, and we will be fortunate to win that game. Connecticut's a good team, so with everybody complaining about the Indiana schedule, you can add Connecticut to will be a tough battle in Madison Square Garden for the Jimmy V Classic, because I don't know if you watched them play at all last night, but they played a really good Buffalo team, and boy, they didn't just go toe-to-toe. They kind of beat their pants off. It was a good game for Connecticut.
And Buffalo has been good the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're Buffalo's guard heavy. Their guards are really, really good. I mean NBA quality good, and they have two of them. And boy, they didn't phase UConn at all last night. They were taking it on the chin defensively, trying to stop those guys, but they would come down on offense and had no problem scoring. So they scored in a bunch of different ways. They got it inside. They were throwing alley-oops, and they were making long outside threes. So I look forward to that UConn game. That'll be a real good test for Indiana.
Yeah, and you talk about UConn. There's a program that went through all they went through with Ali.
That was just that was a whole weird situation.
But to be back to where they are right now, that's a big bounce back, a quick bounce back.
It is, and you've got to give Hurley a ton of credit. It's Danny Hurley, right? I think Danny's the brother that's there. But, he left a Rhode Island program that, I'm telling you, I watched them play last weekend, and they're really good too. So he left that program, and they were really good while he was there. He's left them in great shape, and he's gone to UConn in a short order and turned them into a team that, I think, is it next season they're moving back to the Big East? That's a big get for the Big East to get UConn back into that conference, because they're they looked great last night, and it sure looks like Danny Hurley is doing a fantastic job turning these programs around.
Yeah, absolutely. They're man, yeah, just exactly what you said, and that's going to be a tough road to hoe up there. Plus, man, that is going to be a pro UConn crowd up there in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, there's no question. But hopefully there'll be other teams there, so it isn't like they can pack the whole place. But actually Indiana has always had a pretty good alumni support whenever they go to Madison Square Garden. So I'll kind of look forward to seeing how that pans out over there. But you know how it is. Fans will have no issue in rooting against Indiana getting beat. People that aren't the actual alumni tend to enjoy in the Maui Classics and all those. They tend to root for the team Indiana's playing against, whether they have any tie to IU or not.
Absolutely. We were talking earlier about Juwan Morgan signing that multi-year deal with the Jazz. And Tim points out, now that entire 2015 class are all on NBA teams. Juwan Morgan, Thomas Bryant, OG Anunoby. That's the class that helped beat Kentucky in the second round of the tournament. That year they lost to North Carolina. I think North Carolina went on to win the national championship that year. I can't remember, but they did win the Big Ten that year. So a very successful class, and that's what happens when you have good players like that.
Yeah, no doubt. There's no question about that. You look at those guys, and I think because of his size, Thomas Bryant's probably a guy you would have thought would have played in the NBA. But those other guys, I'm not even going to say they're 50-50s. I would have said it was not a great likelihood they would have played in the NBA. And you have to give them all the credit in the world, because that was their dream and that was their goal. And it was hard work. Like those guys, when they left after their final year, were much, much better players than they were when they got there. And that's that's hard work and dedication, and seeing the prize and knowing how hard you've got to work for it. And they really did. And I think if the coaching staff that was with them and especially the training crew would tell you how hard those guys worked.
Man, we got lots to get to today on the program. Coming up next, Richard Fant, former defensive lockdown artist for the Hoosiers football program, is going to join us. We'll talk about that big Michigan game tomorrow, but we've got a lot of basketball to talk about as well. We'll talk about Indiana's Mr. Basketball race, Todd. It's been a lot of times there's kind of either a clear-cut favorite or, it's kind of like this year is a freaking toss-up. There is a great mix of players. We'll talk about them all and plenty more when we come back. Stay tuned. You're listening to Coyle and Leary on Indiana Sports Beat. Back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
I don't want to wait.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former IU basketball player Derek Elson. Follow the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Good week of preparation. Getting ready for Michigan. Got a special day on Saturday with recognizing our seniors and what they've given to our program. And just really looking forward to seeing our guys get out there and compete at a high level and play our best football. Questions?
There was Coach Tom Allen as Indiana heads up to take on the Michigan Wolverines. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Friday. Couldn't be happier now to be joined by one of the guys that knows what it's like to take on those Wolverines, Richard Fant. Richard, how are you, brother?
I'm good. How about yourself? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being on with us. Todd Leary's on with us as well. Todd, say hello to the lockdown defender at IU, which is they had right now.
Yes, they do. How you doing, Richard? Good morning to you.
Good, Todd. Good morning to you as well.
Thank you, buddy.
Man, this is a big game, Richard, and bigger than most, because back when you guys were taking them to overtime and giving them all that they wanted, Indiana was not quite where they are this season. There's a lot being expected. They've had a hell of a year, and there's no reason for it to be over yet. I think they more than showed by what they did against Penn State that they're more than capable of playing with these teams. I said yesterday they should have won that Penn State game by 2 touchdowns. It was just some self-inflicted mistakes that cost them there. But I think they can do the same with Michigan, although Michigan may be a tick better than Penn State, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I think they definitely have a chance. And I don't know, offensively, I heard Shea Patterson's comments, and my best friend asked me about it, and I was like, listen, if this was the Shea I saw at Ole Miss, then yeah, I could see him talking like that. But the offense hasn't been that consistent to try to overlook an Indiana team this year who's competed with the best, put up 30-plus points a lot, and has a great defense. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm hoping, obviously, the guys pull it out, but I think they have a great chance, and I can't wait to watch it.
When you're playing in games like that, those big games against those big East teams like Michigan or Ohio State, whatnot, for Indiana that has had so much trouble, what is the hardest part about getting over the hump, I guess? Like we talked about last week, Penn State, they should have beat Penn State. They just had some mistakes that they made that cost them the game, I think. But what is it about those games that just so close but not quite there yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to finishing, and you've heard Coach Allen say it a lot. Coach Wilson used to say it too. It's just finishing. I remember losing in overtime. I think it was my first year starting my redshirt sophomore year, and we were up by 7 with a minute, 40 left, and they drove 80 yards down the field to tie it up and go to overtime. And in an instance like that, all you need is one stop, and you leave with the win. So I think as far as just getting stops, and that was the Penn State game I watched from beginning to end last week, is just getting timely stops in. I told my wife, I said, this game shit is even right now, and IU should get the ball back with plenty of time. And then they had a 9-minute drive, and I told her, that's unheard of. That's exactly what an offensive coach or any head coach wants from their offense. So it's just getting stops when you need it, coming up with the right plays, and finishing when the time comes.
And I remember specifically in the last time Michigan was here and that game went to overtime that you were playing, there was a couple bad calls, but there was one particular, I think it may have been against you, a pass interference call that was a bogus call. And I remember after the game, Coach Allen talking about saying you have to earn those calls, and yet we see it again last week in the Penn State game when Whop Phillier was hit not once but twice with a head-to-head contact and no call made.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Coach Allen saying you have to earn it, and the hard thing I thought, for me, I remember that play vividly. It was a pick six. I mean, an interception that would have definitely changed the game, been another big turnover for our team, and somehow they got a phantom PI. And I mean, with the hit with Wap last week it was easy to tell. But, in the games like that, Penn State's a team in the top 10 college football playoff hopes, has more of a football reputation. So they kind of lean in those guys' favors, like in the NBA when superstars get calls when they don't even get fouled. So I guess it's just as Indiana gets better, we'll start getting calls like that, or at least we won't have the other teams getting calls like that when they play us.
Yeah, and it makes all the difference in the world, because those big games, they can come down to just 1 or 2 plays, as we saw against Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole difference. A flag here or, a reverse call there. I mean, that one call is all it takes to change the game and change whose ever favor the game is going in. I mean, you see it all the time. Teams on a roll and they get pushed back in the 1st and 20. The team gets a stop, and now the other team has the momentum. So it's always tough. I mean, football, is a lot of sports, is a game of momentum, and you always hope that it's in your favor down the stretch.
Hey, Richard, this is Todd. One of the things I wanted to ask you is we've talked this week, I talk more about basketball, and we've talked about Indiana's poor schedule and how they came out in their last game and didn't have a lot of energy, and the fans, weren't super excited to watch Princeton come in and play. And so it was just kind of a dead atmosphere in there, and no one was up for the game. And Jim and I talked about how, as a player, I don't know why it is, but it just kind of seems to be the case that when it's not one of those bigger games, it's a little bit harder to get up for it. And this Michigan game for the football team obviously is not that way. And if you go back and look, which I studied your stats, and you seem to, most of the games that were considered the big game of the season was the games you had your best game. Is there anything you did different? Is that how do you approach it? I tried to explain to Jim. It's not like you intentionally try to approach it differently, but for some reason those games just feel a little bit different, and I could jump a little bit higher, and things just seem to come a little bit easier. And your stats definitely showed that for you. Can you try to explain why it's that way?
Yeah, I think, the biggest games, you kind of know, man, you're on the national stage on ESPN. And then every time I play Michigan, besides maybe my last time across from me was an NFL draft pick. So I know if I don't show up and play, I'm going to get embarrassed. And not only will it hurt my chances as being all conference or making it to the NFL, but I let my team down. My parents have to watch that, my wife, my friends. So you kind of just want to make everybody proud and, just show that, hey, I can hang with these guys. I know people don't consider Indiana a football school, but we got some pretty great football players. So I was grateful enough. Anytime it was a big matchup, I would hold my own. I would make plays, and that's all you can ask for. And on the flip side, my teammates, having T. Gray playing some of his best football against in the big games definitely helps me or Chris Covington because they're getting pressure and making my job easier. So we kind of just all fed off each other, and you feeding off the crowd too. I know I definitely feel the fans when they yell and screaming into the game. You feel that just emotion with you out there.
Absolutely. And this week, this game is when Indiana beat Michigan last in 1987. My gosh,
goodness,
you weren't even born yet.
Not yet.
And sadly, I was at that game, Richard. So I'm old, I guess. But I was there as a student, man. But it's going to be the very, very similar weather. That Michigan team was not as good as this one. But I don't know that this Indiana team was as good as this one. But those guys were some grizzled veterans, man. Those were the Bill Mallory days, and they were like some wrestlers. They were just tough and just blue collar guys. And this team has every bit of chance to beat this Michigan team and prove that they're actually worthy of being in that Big Ten East elite, which not at the very top, but they're climbing. And there's bigger implications, Rashard. They win this game, they probably going to end up in the Outback Bowl, which is a major bowl.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing you want, each step. We've been 2 of my years, we made it to bowl games, but we didn't win the game. Also, we just were 6-6. So we went to good bowls, but you want to be at those bigger bowls. You want to have that winning record at the end of the season, and you want to win your bowl game. And then that just starts where you continue to get better. And now you're competing for the Big Ten championship, and then obviously college football playoff implications. So you just keep climbing, and this will be a big deal for IU and for them going down the line for the future on what the expectation is for the program. So I can't wait to watch it. I think this team has something special just the way they gel. And it didn't matter who was at QB, whether it was Payton or Penix. So, I can't wait. Everybody seems to have been gelling. The coaches have those guys playing at a high clip and playing together. And they have a good mixture of, some solid veterans with a lot of young guys, obviously, out there that can play.
Hey, Richard, it seems like we always interview offensive guys and get their take on what the game's going to be like. But from a former defensive player's perspective, do you look for this to be a high-scoring game? Both teams have offenses that are clicking right now, but both teams have pretty good defenses too. When you look expectations in this game, do you think it's going to be high-scoring, or think it'll be a grudge match?
It's so tough to call because, I've split twice we played them and it was high scoring, even with them having the top 2 defense in the country. And then the other 2 times it was like a 20-17 game or 20-10. So you never know. I'm going to go on the limb and say with how our offense has been, it might be in the middle pack, like a 28-24 or 31-28 game. Not too much scoring, but obviously some excitement with a lot of great defensive stops.
Yeah, both offenses, Richard, have been prolific this year. Indiana's, of course, has done it with 2 different quarterbacks, which that's amazing. Can you imagine going through a season like that with having 2 different guys that can throw the ball that effectively?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what you want. I think about Ohio State when they won the national championship and went from Braxton to JT to Cardell. And I mean, it's a luxury, and we've had that. I mean, everybody knew what Peyton brought to the table, and then you see how talented Michael was to beat him out. So you knew you had two good quarterbacks, and you just wanted to see how both of them would do in this new offense that this new OC has brought over. And he's done a great job putting them in positions, and they do similar things for both, but also change it up to fit whatever their style of play is. So it's been real nice work, and I'm happy for Peyton. He's one of my guys when I was there, and he was a great leader then, and he is now, and probably even better since I was there. So I'm excited.
What's the last time we talked to Rashard? Are you still rehabbing? I know you were off on injury. You're getting paid by the Chicago Bears very nicely. How's the rehab going, and where are you with all that?
Rehab's going good. I just recently went to Chicago for a doc's appointment. We're hoping to get me cleared to at least start field drills in January and then be fully back to playing by March 1 to, start working out for the teams that's been calling and just asking about me. So, I mean, it's going. It's definitely a slow process. My first time really dealing with an injury of this magnitude. So I'm grateful for the position I'm in, just trying to embrace this process and make sure I'm prepared for the time to come when I have to work out for these teams.
Good luck with that. Are you coming down for the game?
I won't be down this time. I'm with the wife and puppy, so I'm hanging out in Atlanta. But hopefully if the bowl game is close enough, I can hopefully get to it and come watch it. So I was really rooting for the bowl game in Nashville, so that's real easy to get to. So we'll see. I definitely will be tuned in, though.
I don't think it's going to be too far either way for you, Rashard. My feeling is it's either going to be I'm thinking they're going to end up in Jacksonville at the Gator Bowl. But if they beat Michigan and end up with and then follow up with a win over Purdue for 9 wins, I think they end up at the Outback Bowl in Tampa. But the Gator Bowl is a very, very real possibility for them with 8 wins. And then we've seen here of late, Nashville, the Music City Bowl, has a great deal of interest in Indiana as well. So it's going to be one of those 3 spots, I'm thinking. So hopefully you're in pretty good shape.
Yep. I mean, I'm right in the middle of all 3. So it'd be amazing to see those guys get to any one of those 3. And I know they're taking it week by week, but ultimately we can't wait to see them finish out this season strong and then get to a great bowl game.
Rashard, I cannot thank you enough for joining us, man. We greatly appreciate you as always. Look forward to, hope we got more to talk about for a bowl win coming up here soon.
No, definitely. I can't wait. Thank you all for having me.
You bet. Good luck on the rehab, and we'll talk to you again soon, Rashard.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Go Hoosiers.
You betcha. There's Rashard Fant, former defensive lockdown artist for the football program, joining us here to talk about Indiana, Michigan coming up. We've got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Stay tuned. We've got Mr. Basketball to talk about and Indiana basketball as well. We'll be back with all that and more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
You can wag your tail.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
All right, all you Hoosiers out there, make sure you listen to my main man when it's time to talk about Indiana sports. Jim Coyle. All right.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary here on this Friday. Man, it is a fun day, and lots of big doings coming up this weekend as Indiana taking on the Michigan Wolverines tomorrow at 3:30 kickoff. ESPN. Looks like they got the A-team in, Todd Blackledge and my old friend Sean McDonough. I wish I saw that sooner, if that's still the same. I used to work with Sean at CBS Sports, so looking forward to running into him. We'll get him on the show at some point later.
I wish the Fab Five could play it on this football team because those guys never won anything. So it'd be sweet to have them on this team. We'd ensure an Indiana victory.
Yeah, Indiana's record was 3-1 against the Fab Five.
I mean, they never won anything. They literally have 0 championships they can discuss. They never won a Big Ten. They never won an NCAA championship. They never won Jack. Bring it.
Oh, funny.
I like it. That's real good, Jake.
Speaking of Jake, do you see the big?
Did you try to call it
on his head? Look at it.
You're getting your
He's
ass
got a
beat
big
last night.
Cut on the head, boy.
I mean, I was playing basketball last night, diving after a loose ball.
Crap.
No, seriously, and just knocked heads with somebody else. He came out worse than I did, though. He split his eyebrow open.
Yes!
Well, we can't see him, so I don't believe any of that. I believe that you got beat up in a fight. You let your mouth get you. You let your mouth put a check out there that your body couldn't cash, and you took the bad end of it. That's the way I see it.
Did you draw blood on him? Did he bleed?
Yeah, I mean, his eyebrow was split open. So,
man! So we're talking about Ferdy Pacheco, the fight doctor, having to come in.
Yeah, I mean, it was rough.
Oh, Jake!
You Miles Garretted him?
Yeah, pulled out the helmet and busted him across the head.
I wish we were on Facebook Live today so people could see how bad you got beat up.
Boy, he got a big old cut above his head.
It's pretty sweet.
Hey, a lot of big games coming up this weekend as well. But before we get to that, Mr. Basketball this year, last year you knew Trace Jackson Davis. Before that, Romeo Langford. And it's not always the clear cut, but there's usually a couple guys. Man, this year there's just a ton of different guys that have a shot at the Mr. Basketball title. Of course, a couple of them are going to Indiana. Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway both are two guys that are considered to be front runners for that award. But there's plenty of others as well that are going elsewhere, but also just good players. And you don't know who that's going to be, Todd. It's a great class for these kids.
Yeah, I mean the All-Star team for sure will be guard talented, very skill oriented overall All-Star team. Who ends up winning Mr. Basketball? I mean that'll be a fun thing to track throughout the season because there's a bunch of guys who I think have put themselves in the running, but there's no clear-cut choice. There's not one guy that you would say he's most likely going to win it unless he does something bad. I think that overall, there's a bunch of guys who have a chance to go out and have great seasons and prove it. Kind of the interesting part is at least I know Leal and Galloway. I mean, those guys are not selfish type players. I almost wish Trey Galloway was a little bit more selfish. I don't think they're going to go out and be trying to get numbers, worrying about Mr. Basketball. And at some point, I kind of wish they would become a little bit more selfish when it comes to that. And hopefully they use this season to propel themselves into, improving their games and getting their teams to the place they want to get them to, which obviously is going to be a state championship.
One of those guys is DeAndre Davis from Lawrence Central. He's a Louisville recruit. Man, he's going to be a tough one. You've got Nigel Pack from Lawrence Central. They're going to be loaded, freaking loaded. And they've got another kid that I saw mentioned. But then you got somebody from Lawrence North. You might like Tony Perkins, who's one of those kids that's been mentioned as well.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult for an Indianapolis kid. I mean, I'm not trying to stir anything up here, but it's more difficult for an Indianapolis kid to win Mr. Basketball. He's got to be a lot more clear cut because the votes get, so spread out when you've got a Lawrence North and a Lawrence Central and, other kids from just right around the area there. That all, the people who do the voting are going to split their votes amongst those, where you get a kid, that's from Southern Indiana. Most of the coaches from Southern Indiana are going to root for or vote for that one kid. So I'm not saying all the coaches do that. It's just kind of all the people who vote. I know they try to be impartial, but when they played against a kid a certain number of times, it just makes it human nature. They're going to vote for that kid.
There's just a lot of talent. And this, of course, in the next year, it's going to be even more talent. But the funny thing is, next year there's probably a clear-cut leader right now in Christian Lander. He's the top recruit in the state at the moment in that class. But that class is just chock full of talent as well. Caleb First, Trey Kaufman, Trey Coleman this year, another kid from Jeffersonville. So there's just all kinds of talent in these next two classes of high school basketball in Indiana. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It makes for – it's kind of getting back to where it was a long time ago. I mean, it's getting back to – it kind of cycles through itself, I think, from time to time. But I think there was a little bit of a lull where there were some good players, but there weren't, dozens of good players throughout the state that you wanted to keep track of. And I think you're definitely at that point right now in every class.
There's a lot of football games this weekend that look at some games to pick here. Got a few I pulled. What's it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 games I pulled up.
Really?
Different types. The first one would be the Big East Championship. That's number 2 Ohio State, an 18.5 point favorite over number 8 Penn State. First of all, that's got to be one of the largest.
Teams play in the Big Ten, right? It's not the Big East Championship. Both those teams play in the Big Ten, but
Big Ten East.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll start listening to you closer.
But that's got to be the largest spread between the number 2 and number 8 team in my memory for a while. 18.5 points between the number 2 and the number 8 team. This is not like they're playing Rutgers or somebody.
Yeah, and it's probably not even enough. I mean, in all reality, that Ohio State is that much better than Penn State, and being at Ohio State, they're definitely there. It's fun because they're going to need to come out, and they've got a chip on their shoulder right now because who knows what some reason they're boycotting game day. I mean, who knows what the team itself knows they've got a huge opponent across from them. They've got 2 big games to end the year, and they're truly probably going to treat this as their biggest game. I mean, they don't want to give Michigan enough credit to where that final Michigan game would be the biggest game of their year. They're probably treating this one like it's more important. I don't think 18's enough for that game.
Tim's jumping in. Oh, everybody's got to take sides. I heard Big East. Tim said, I heard Big East.
Thank you. That away, Tim. I heard the same thing.
Shut it.
It's all right. Hey, you know what? When you start to understand that I'm always right, then we'll get along a lot better.
My God. So I'm assuming you're taking Ohio State in that 18.
I am taking Ohio State. That 18 is not enough. If you really want the bet of that game, the bet's probably the first half bet. That first half line is probably like under 10. So if it's under 10, take that first half bet.
Well, plus I don't think Penn State is that good. I think Indiana's actually better. They just didn't. They gave that game away. Penn State is not as good as I thought after seeing them lose to Minnesota, and Indiana should have beat them.
I mean, I don't think offensively they're as good as they've been in the past. I mean, I don't think their quarterback position is quite as good as what it's been. So Ohio State not only has the advantage, I think Ohio State is the much, much better team in that.
Then we've got the Chili Bowl. Texas at number 14, Baylor. Baylor is a 6-point favorite in that one. I'm going with Texas in this one, man.
Because you're taking the points, or you think Texas is going to win?
I'm going to take the points, but I would not be shocked by a Texas win. But if I was betting, I will take the points in Texas.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't disagree with you on that one. I mean, I like Texas because they're kind of fun. They've got a quarterback that's fun to watch, and it seems like they get themselves in a bad position. They've done it, probably 2 of the last 3 weeks where they've been behind by 14 points and somehow figure out a way to score touchdowns real quick and come back in the game. So I enjoy watching their offense. I'll take Texas with you on that one.
I'll let you pick first, so you quit piggybacking off all my picks.
Yeah, bring it. Just tell me the game. I'll tell you the truth.
I'm calling this one the Kids Table Bowl. This is number 25 SMU at Navy. Navy's a 3.5-point favorite.
Gosh, Navy is just obviously we love the branch of the military, but their football team is painful to watch. They've been difficult to play against. They're coming off of a beating from Notre Dame, so I'm going to say them coming back home, they're probably going to win that one. I'm going to take Navy with the 3.5.
Man, that's what I'm taking. Daggone it.
It's in piggybacking.
Yeah, well, I already had mine picked out. I already know what I'm doing. All right, so now we're going on to what I call the Big Ten Mediocre Bowl. This is a 4-6 Nebraska team that is a 5-point underdog at 3-7 Maryland.
No, Nebraska's the favorite in that game. Nebraska's a 5-point favorite in that game.
That's what I said.
You said Nebraska was an underdog.
Well, if I did, I didn't mean to. Nebraska's a -5.
Tell him, Tim. Chime in, Tim.
I hear you. All right, so you got Nebraska. They're a 5-point favorite over at Maryland. Who are you taking?
Nebraska.
I'm taking Maryland just to shake it up.
All right, good. I think Nebraska finally figures something out here and is able to come out. That's a program they're struggling. There was a lot more expectations out of bringing. Is it Scott Frost out of bringing him in as a coach? I mean, I think they expected to be a lot farther along than where they are right now. But I think this game will be kind of their turning point for the year.
We've got what I've called the Mendoza Line Bowl. 5-5 Tennessee at 5-5 Missouri. Missouri is a 4-point favorite there. I just think that I'm just going with the home team. I'll take the points we're giving up the points. I'll give up the 4 points against Tennessee on the road. I'll take Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very, very difficult. I loved Peyton Manning, but man, I don't know how he went to Tennessee because it's very difficult for me. They're just too close to Lexington for me to be able to pick them and root for them. So I'm going with Missouri with you. I'm going to piggyback with you with Missouri.
All right, here the last one that I had picked, and you can pick some up if you want, but this one I call it the Take It to the Bank. Number 10 Minnesota, 13.5-point favorite over Northwestern.
Yeah,
they're at Northwestern.
I was going to say that has to be at Northwestern. I think Minnesota, sitting there at number 10 in the country, I think Minnesota has to come out, and they're doing the same thing Indiana is, only they're playing a bad opponent. They're trying to get themselves to that bigger bowl and put themselves in a position where they, they've got a great opportunity to go to a Florida Bowl or something like that. So I think Minnesota will romp over them. That 13.5 is not near enough for Minnesota over Northwestern.
That's my opinion, too, because they have to. They're trying to impress the voters.
Yeah.
They want to get moved up. They took that big old loss to Iowa, which put a big old chink in their chain. But they're still fighting for the Big Ten West title to get to the Big Ten championship for a shot of maybe it's crazy it is, but of trying to get back into that college football talk. I don't see it happening, but I'm with you. I
don't see it happening either. But the fact that they're able to have that discussion is that puts their program at a different level. So yeah, I think you're right. They're playing for everything. They've got all kinds of stuff on the line that can help them with a big victory, not just a win, but with a big convincing win. So that's why I don't think the points are enough for that one.
I don't either. They've got a pretty good offense, and Northwestern's defense, well, we saw that. Indiana kicked the crap out of them. So I think Minnesota has just as good on offense as Indiana does. I think they're very similar in that regard, and I don't see them slowing them down.
I'm surprised you didn't complain about the 9.5 Indiana's getting. I thought that would be one of our picks today. Are we not, just because we're not allowed to pick the Hoosiers?
Hold your horses, homie. You got to save the best for last.
Not bad.
I'm just
kidding. I thought that was your sixth one.
No, it was out of those. But then, of course, the Indiana-Michigan game. Of course, we're both going to take Indiana. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I would definitely take the 9.5 points in Indiana. I think Indiana can win this game. Will they? That's up to Indiana. They can't do what they did last week against Penn State. You can't muff a punt. You can't drop a ball in the end zone. You can't run a ridiculous fake punt that's just has no chance to happen. You can't do that. But one thing they also have to do in this game, without doubt, to win, they must get some turnovers because Michigan has not turned the ball over much offensively. That's been one of the things that has really helped propel them, especially here lately. That offense has been on fire under Shea Patterson. But Indiana has shown that they have the capability of taking that ball away. And if they can get a key turnover, that's going to be a difference maker in this game. And Indiana definitely can't turn the ball over themselves. But I will take the 9.5 and the Hoosiers to upset the Michigan Wolverines for the first time since 1987.
Well, I hope the team's half as excited as you and Tom Allen are. So I agree with you, though. I mean, on paper, that game, that's a lack of respect in Las Vegas for Indiana and the program in general. And I'm not saying it's not warranted. I mean, it probably makes some sense, but they usually stick a little bit more to tradition. And the last two times Michigan's been here, it's gone to overtime, and that 9.5 seems like a lot. They're giving Michigan's team or an offense a lot more credit for improving this year than they are Indiana's. So, I know we're both homers and that with IU, but I'm going to take my chances with the 9.5 on this one.
I'm not a homer. I think that's just a legit.
We're homers.
Bill said, looks like a frying pan injury to me. Pissed the wife off, did you, Jake? Tim texted, could we have a tie for Mr. Basketball? I don't think so, but what else did he say? 1961.
Have they ever had that?
1961, perfect question, and he has the answer. 1961, Dick and Tom Van Arsdale, who also went to Indiana. Jay Edwards and Lyndon Jones in 87, who also went to Indiana. He has said 2020, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal.
What about was Oden and Conley not coached for basketball?
I don't think so. Huh. That's a good, but you know what?
I would have lost that. I would have lost that bet.
You know what? Who did win that between those guys?
I don't know.
Tim will have it for us in a minute. I don't have the time to look it up, but he will look it up in a second. But he also asked about Orlando reclassifying. There's been talk about him reclassifying from the 2021 class to 2020. Here's my thought on that, and I've talked to Keith and Christian plenty. They've been on the show. But my thoughts on that is no way that he reclassifies. And the biggest reason is I think that they want to go ahead and live out your high school years. But more importantly, I think he wants to win Mr. Basketball next year. And there's no doubt he will be the front runner in that next year. This year, I don't think he would have a chance to win Mr. Basketball. He wouldn't have a chance to win Mr. Basketball because these guys are too entrenched. Anthony Leal and Galloway and all those guys. Galloway's already won a state title, played for another. Anthony Leal has led his team deep into the run. So these guys, they're just too far ahead, I think. So I think for that reason alone, he stays in the 21 class. He lets his body grow as he should. He goes to high school like he should, and he comes to college when he should. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, isn't most of those guys who reclassify are considered the guys who are going to be one and dones.
Yes.
And I don't think he fits in that category. Not because he's not good enough. It's just most of those guys are 6'11", guys that they're trying to hurry up and get that year in so they can get it out of the way to go to the NBA. And I don't see much of a reason to reclassify for him for this class coming into Indiana. I think he's kind of fits perfectly, 2 years from now. I think that's kind of a perfect timing for him to come in to Indiana. So, I hope he doesn't reclassify, and I hope that's where he ends up in his college career.
I'm about to block Tim. He's calling it the Todd's Right Show now.
Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't going to take long. It took a full week. I'm surprised it's taken that long for you to realize that, but
absolutely ridiculous.
So were they co-Mr. Basketballs?
Oh, those two guys. He has not hit that up yet. No, he was just taking your side on whatever else.
Here's the deal: when I say something that's inaccurate, then we'll let it go back and we'll let it be part of your show again. But right now, it's pretty much just my show. I mean, everything I say is right.
I give you all the right answers.
Yep. You see what happens. I mean, Jake smarts off to me one time, and he shows up with a black eye.
That's what got the cut over the head, man.
That's right.
Looked like Evander Holyfield got to him.
Hey, Jake, next time you get a basketball game, a pickup basketball game, let me know, brother. I mean, I'm the Vinnie Johnson of pickup basketball.
What are you going to do?
Right
Come in on your wheelchair?
You
got your walker? You can't get him down the floor on a walker.
I'll give you 3 good possessions. That's it. I'll give you 3 good possessions. Now, you'll get 3 buckets out of it, but defensively, I can't promise anything.
Man, you look like a greeter at Walmart.
I'll get you 3 buckets.
Every Wednesday and every Thursday, man.
All right. I'll be there.
Don't forget Indiana women's basketball also today. They're down in Gainesville, man. They're taking on the Florida Gators. I've talked about this before, and we don't have a lot of time left here in this segment, but we'll probably talk about this more later. But, yeah, their upcoming schedule, it is crazy.
It's insane.
It's worse than – I mean, I knew it was bad, but I really looked at it last night, and I'm like – I just started laughing. I'm like, are you kidding me? Nobody has a schedule like that. In the men's, women's, it doesn't matter. This is nuts. You talk about a loaded freaking schedule? Holy cow. Yeah. Sunday, 1 o'clock out at Bill Armstrong Stadium. Make sure you're out there as the Hoosiers host the Kentucky Wildcats in the I guess it's the first round of the NCAA tournament. Kentucky had a play-in game. They beat Sister Jean and Loyola Chicago last night, 2-1, so they'll be taking on the Hoosiers here in Bloomington on Sunday. So show up there, man. I'll be out there checking that out for certain. We got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Stay tuned. We're back with all that and more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Funny one so true, I love you.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Understand, something tells me that I'm dreaming. I can see it there.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary here on this Friday. Thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you. Make sure you can find us if you're not listening to us on air. Of course, you can listen anytime wherever you find a podcast. We're on all of those: iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Apple, yada, 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 yada. You know, we're also go to our Indiana Facebook page, like us, follow us there. You can keep a lot of information. Also, you can go to our YouTube page and sign up there. That's where all interviews are stored. Video, all the videos, they all go there. And it's open, so you can look at that, see that anytime. All the raw stuff goes straight there. That's where when I take all the off-air comments of Todd and put them there.
Whoa, you didn't tell me that stuff was on there.
I'm kidding.
Ouch. This may be a short-lived career stint for me.
Earlier, I was talking about the Indiana women today taking on Florida in Gainesville. I think, I don't know what time that game is, but I did not see any TV. It's usually on radio, so you can find it on radio if you look that up. But their schedule, first of all, they're in Gainesville to play Florida today. They leave there. They will then next play number 5 South Carolina. As a reward for that, they get to play number 2 Baylor. Then they play Washington State. Then they play number 16 Miami. Then later in December, they play number 11 UCLA. Then they get to open play against number 15 Michigan State.
Yeah, it's nutty.
I mean,
that's
it's
all,
like
that's
they're
all
playing.
that's all in the next 40 days.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, who plays that kind of a schedule?
Yeah, the South Carolina Baylor back-to-back days. Not only are they crazy good opponents, but I mean that's a Thursday, Friday back-to-back games. So they have scheduled themselves a tough one, that's for sure.
Well, you talk about building a resume. I mean, you're not expected to win all those games, but if you can hold serve and get through there, you've built yourself a nice little resume before you get into Big Ten play, and then you'll get plenty of opportunities to continue to add to that.
Yep. I mean, Indiana has got that high ranking already. We talked about it earlier in the week, the highest ranking they've ever had, and they've got a tremendous opportunity. Heck, they could go 500 in those games and move up in the rankings. I mean, they've got a terrific opportunity. Now they've got to come out of that with a big confidence level. You know, as much as anything, hopefully we're talking about it when they get into real Big Ten play in January that they don't have injuries. I mean, you play that many really good, tough opponents over a 35-day stretch. I mean, you've got to make sure you get out of that without a bunch of injuries. So that'll be something to keep track of. But they've got a tremendous opportunity, that's for sure.
Yeah, the one good thing that they have going when you talk about injuries is, man, they are deep. Like I've talked about this yesterday, but I think that they're at least maybe 8 deep of players that could start for that team. I mean, you've got Bindu Yanni, who hasn't even been able to play. I don't know if she's played yet. I was not able to go to the last game, so I don't remember if she played or not. But she was a starter, so that's one that hasn't been playing. And then you got Grace Wagner from Vincennes, but they've got Alexa Gube. She's a 6'3" forward. She's been adding a lot. Chanel Wilson. They've just Jalen Penn, Allie Patberg, Jory Allen, Grace Berger, Brenna Wise, Mackenzie Holmes, a freshman who has been leading scorer, I think, this year twice already. It's nuts. They're just deep, man. They got a lot of talent.
Yep, they are. I mean, that's what that's what a lot of hard work and recruiting gets you. And they were fortunate to get a transfer that came in, and they're in a great position right now. It's like I said, this is a big couple of weeks coming up for them.
Absolutely. And I talked earlier about men's soccer. It's a big, big match on Sunday out at Bill Armstrong Stadium as the Hoosiers open up NCAA tournament play against the Kentucky Wildcats, a regional rival. They tied this year here at Bill Armstrong Stadium. So this is going to be the rematch. Winner goes on, loser goes home.
Indiana fans in general all enjoy rooting against Kentucky whenever they have a chance, and this is just a great opportunity to send them back to Lexington, make that 3-hour drive feel like a lifetime. And that soccer program this is the kind of thing, we need the football program to pull out a big win on Saturday. And that kind of solidifies them and proves that they're kind of moved up a tier this year. The soccer team's already done that. I mean, they've won this game so many different years, it's crazy. And so, yes, they tied earlier in the year, but for some reason, this team always figures out a way to win when it gets to the Big Ten tournament and when it gets to the NCAA tournament. So I think we're all looking for a victory out of this, and I know they won't be taking it lightly, and they got to stay home and rest yesterday as opposed to having to play a game. So they have the advantage. They've just got to go out and do it.
Well, here's the thing. This is a team that we've talked about it a lot, but they started 7 freshmen for the bulk of the season, man. They got 14 new faces, and to come back off of a Big Ten championship season and win the Big Ten again with all these freshmen, and then win the Big Ten tournament. At the beginning of the year, Todd, they had, I think, their first 5 matches all went to overtime. And Coach Yeagley talked about that, giving all these young guys after those first 5 games, it was like playing an extra game. So they got that extra game of experience, and it's obviously boding very well for them now, as we can see that experience is really helping them. But it's shocking to see a team that young maintain this elite level of play.
Yeah, it is, and that's a part of the program. I say this too much, I know, but they're kind of like, this season for them has been like Michigan State and Tom Izzo teams are in basketball, and that they started the year out and they looked okay and they were supposed to be decent and they looked all right. And by the end of the season, everybody was clicking and kind of playing to their top potential. And that's what the Yeagleys the whole family has been instrumental and fantastic in developing that culture. And that's where this soccer team is. I mean, you go and look at where they started the season out, like you said, and then to go through Big Ten play and win the Big Ten tournament. It's just, I don't get back to enough soccer games. I think a lot of fans feel that way. Life gets in the way and you just end up doing other stuff. But, this is kind of the time to be able to go out and support them and reward them for not just a great season, but a great program in general. I know I get to brag about the program a lot, just as an Indiana alumni. I get to brag about the program. I should pay it back in some ways like that, attending games.
Did you ever play soccer?
No.
My brother, it was so funny when I was growing up. My brother, we were both played sports, obviously, but we were very, very different athletes. I played football. When I ran track, it was sprints. He ran cross country, played soccer. I'm like, what are you doing with all that running crap? Who wants to do all that running?
Yeah.
And
it takes a special kind of athlete, that's for sure. I know.
Dude, you run like 6 miles in a game is the average for a pro player or an upper-level elite player. 6 miles in a game is what they want. And I remember taking my daughter to our first pro game. It was in Louisville at one of those USL games, which the speed blew my mind. I'm like, these guys are going full speed down, up and down the court of the field. And I'm like, what the hell? How do they maintain that? I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm like, wow. So it really changed my mind. And her playing soccer really got me into that. But it really changed my mind because, when you're growing up and soccer was new, you're like, oh, that's a sissy sport, blah, blah, blah. No, it ain't.
Well, it ain't is right, but it just wasn't a thing back when we played. I mean,
no,
you played baseball, basketball, and football, and that's pretty much what everybody played, and everybody, most of the guys played all three. And so when it was baseball season, that's what you played.
Yep.
That's the era we grew up in. But all my kids played soccer and enjoyed it, and my middle son was great at soccer, and it's just one of those things that I never. I was always doing other stuff. If I ever had, I played all three sports, but I would even play basketball during baseball and football season where, I didn't play baseball when it wasn't baseball season. So I didn't ever get to play soccer, but I would have sucked at it. I would have been terrible.
What year was Conley and Oden? It's like,
I want to say like 2004, 5.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like Tim needs to look up to see who won Mr. Basketball that year because he did say that those were the only two co-Mr. Basketballs ever. But he also said he heard that the old folks home has a basketball league starting up for you two. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that Jake classifies for the old folks home, but I definitely do. And I'm telling you right now, I would elbow the heck out of it. I'll knock some false teeth out of somebody. If we get to go, you get a pickup game. I don't have a second gear. So if there's a loose ball, I will jump out of my wheelchair and get to it in a hurry.
Volleyball also hosts their senior day match on Sunday. So a lot of senior days. The football senior day will be Saturday as well. So get out early. Kickoff is at 3:30, but I think they're going to do the 10. So get out there early. More importantly, fill the damn stadium, people. Come on. Show some support for that football team. They busted their ass all year. They're sitting there at 7-3 and a shot to beat one of the best teams in the country right now. I don't understand what people are waiting on. This team's going to a bowl game. And just where they go, we don't know yet, but
yeah, no, I mean, you're right. And it'll become more of a tradition. I mean, if they can, especially you get a win like this, it'd be awesome to fill that stadium before the game, but a win like this helps you fill that stadium next year. And unfortunately these guys might have to bite the bullet on that one. And I just hope as many people get there as possible. This is a big time opportunity for the football program in general. And I hope they take advantage of it.
The let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the volleyball team's losing 7 players. That's a lot off of a volleyball team, man.
Yeah,
Kendall Bierman, this girl she's a record setter for that program. 90 matches. She's played in 90 matches for Indiana. 841 kills, 441 digs, and 82 blocks. I don't know what all that means, but I know what it means, but she's done a lot of good stuff. Deja Lofton, she's played in 118 matches for Indiana.
Wow.
888 kills, 410 blocks. Megan Sloan, daughter of Brian Sloan. She played in 88 matches because she transferred here from Louisville. You've got Jackie Armour, 96 matches. Megan Kors played in 120 matches for the Hoosiers. Hayden Hubers, 101 matches. Victoria Brizak, 110 matches. Victoria Brizak has 2,732 career assists.
I'm not super familiar with the where that ranks. Sounds like a crazy amount, but it's that program. You just look at them all. Like, you have to feel great about. I'm not trying to start any conversation here, but I know I've heard criticism over the years of Fred Glass. In some different scenarios, mostly in basketball hirings and things like that. But look at where all these programs are right now. I mean, you have to give the guy some credit.
All the Olympic sports, they're just all on the rise. Women's basketball, Terry Morton has been there for 5 years now. But Fred Glass hired her. Tom Allen, you talk about the bargain of the century. He's been paying Tom Allen $1.8 million for the last couple of years, the lowest paid head coach in the Big Ten, 71st lowest in the country. And if you want to look out wins per how much each win has cost. Why don't you compare that to what Purdue's paying per win right now? And
yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to start a big conversation here, but I mean, give credit where credit is due. I mean, the guys in charge of the athletic programs, all the athletic programs in Indiana, and look how many of them are super successful and in terrific positions and better positions than they were, 15 or 20 years ago. So I don't have any campaign here for anything, but he sure has put a lot of programs in a great position at IU.
Yeah, I mean, some of these coaches, the baseball program, they won the Big Ten championship last year in Jeff Mercer's first season.
Yep. You can just go down the list. I mean, they're all looking good.
Tim said he did miss 1984. Troy Lewis and Delray Brooks tied.
But they had decent careers at Purdue.
Who cares?
No, you see, that's my full sentence. That's all I got.
The air just went out of the room as soon as you said Purdue. Did you notice that?
That's my whole sentence. That's all I got.
It just went quiet. It's like, yeah, who cares? I am interested in Odin Conley. I'll let Tim look that up. But, yeah, a little surprising. Those guys played on the same high school team and went to college together. Unfortunately, they went to freaking Ohio State instead of in Indiana. Man, there's been so many guys that have been lost out of state over the years. But those were two big ones right there. That was a big loss.
2006. Yeah, Greg Oden won it by himself in 2006. Which is funny when you look at that, because look at the college careers and NBA careers. I mean,
Conley is still playing in the NBA right now.
Wasn't Conley the highest paid player in the NBA? It was either last year or the year before. He was the highest paid player in the NBA.
I don't know, but I don't know where he is now. I forget. He was at Memphis, but he's still playing.
He's not there anymore. He's either Utah, like New Orleans.
Utah, maybe?
Yeah, that could be.
But he's still playing. I mean, that's a healthy career, man.
Yep. I mean, barring some injuries, he would be an all-star every year. I mean, he's had some injuries in the last couple of years, but I mean, that guy's career, he's just a winner. I mean, go look at him in high school. They didn't lose for 2 or 3 seasons. And, obviously at Ohio State, they had some successful teams. They didn't win anything huge, but they had some successful teams. And, the NBA, he's had a very lengthy, very, very great career.
Make sure you follow Todd on Twitter at Leary Todd. Yeah, don't ask. We don't.
You're welcome.
None of us know why. Just at Leary Todd, and I'm not kidding. Follow me at Jim Coyle ISB. I use my name in succession like it's supposed to be. Follow us on Facebook, of course. Indiana Sports Beat has its own Facebook page and YouTube and all that stuff. But sign up. You can sign up on IndianaSportsBeat.com to make sure you never miss a show if you're not in an area where we're on the air. So to not do that, just go there and it'll send it to you each and every day. But we got a lot more coming up. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana is going to join us next. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary right after this from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former IU basketball player Derek Elson. Follow the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
When you rest your head on your pillow tonight, how much will you reflect on everything that's gotten you to this point, especially in the last 2 weeks of preparing for this team?
Yeah, it was awesome. And we're going to enjoy this win, but in the back of our minds, we know we got one more big one to go. We got to go on the road to Indiana, but our eyes are still set on the last one.
That was Shea Patterson, Michigan's quarterback, talking about having one more big one, but he was not talking about Indiana. He did mention that they have to go on the road. But,
Idiot.
But you think that that's not going to be bulletin board material on Indiana's locker room? Tom Brew joined us now from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are we doing today?
Good. Just heard that clip from Shea Patterson talking after the last win over Michigan State, how they have one more big game, of course. Well, we got to go to Indiana, but we got one more big. Our mind's focused on the big one. He said it right out. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
A little shocking to hear that comment.
Absolutely was, because it's just, next week doesn't mean a darn thing for them if they lose this week. It's just, this is a huge game for them. They have been playing much better lately. They're on a 3-game winning streak, and they've got a chance to still do some big things in their season. But if they lose to Indiana on Saturday, they can forget about everything. But that's just the way it is at Michigan. It's all about Michigan, Ohio State. It's all about Michigan State. It's having Indiana sandwiched in between their two rivalry games is nothing more than a nuisance to them.
Well, especially when Jim Harbaugh has never beaten Ohio State. He had not beaten Michigan State at home until this past week. And, of course, Michigan State's in a very down year right now. But Indiana's got a shot to do something here because they have implications for a number of reasons. Obviously, just getting that win, it'd be gigantic for this program, but it has bowl implications because if they win this game, I think they're surely going to beat Purdue, but if they win this game, I think they're going to end up in the Outback Bowl in Tampa, which is the absolute best place that they could land.
Well, to be honest, it's actually not. I mean, they still would even have one notch higher the Citrus Bowl with back-to-back wins, because if they beat Michigan and then Michigan loses to Ohio State, Indiana would be ahead of Michigan in the pecking order too. And if it winds up with Ohio State in the playoff and Penn State in a New Year's Six game, it could very easily be if Wisconsin, Minnesota is a situation where they might even get picked higher. So they're in that batch. But certainly, with me, me and my Tampa roots, I would love to see it be the Outback Bowl. But who knows? I mean, it's every bowl committee guy that I've talked to at every single bowl, from the Citrus Bowl on down, they all want Indiana just because they haven't been there before. And they know they're going to bring a bunch of people, and it's going to be a unique thing. So, but all that stuff it'll play itself out. It's all about going out and getting that victory first on Saturday and playing it by ear. But 10-point underdogs at home, you never know. It's not going to be easy, but the way Indiana's been playing, they do have a chance, which is you can't say that a lot of years when Indiana plays Michigan.
Yeah, I still got some fans that just don't really seem to be grasping the situation. I had a guy yesterday trying to argue with me on Twitter that they're going to be bound for the Red Box Bowl out in California. And I'm like, dude, that's not even an option. The least like place that they could land would be Nashville. That's the bottom at the Music City Bowl. Other than that, it's going to be either the Gator, the Outback Bowl, or possibly the Citrus Bowl, which I didn't think they had a shot at that one. But, man, that would be even better yet. But any of those bowls.
A lot of weird things would have to come into play. I mean, that includes, some upsets in the West too, to get Wisconsin behind them, or whatever. But yeah, and the Red Box Bowl. I mean, to me, the only way that happens is if they lose the last two, and do it in ugly fashion, where they really start falling down the pecking order, like behind Wisconsin, behind Iowa, even behind Illinois, if that happens. So I mean, it certainly still is a possibility that could wind up there, but I think that would only be with 2 losses. I mean, and what came up this week, which is unique too, because the Gator Bowl and the Music City Bowl have this sort of tag team agreement, and and I had thought the Music City Bowl had used up all of its Big Ten slots in this contract, but apparently now this is the last year of that deal, and all bets are off. Like, they don't care if they break the deal. So it is very possible again now that that the Music City Bowl could be a destination for Indiana, but that's either or with the Gator Bowl. They are in concert together. So if the Music City Bowl wants a Big Ten team and they want Indiana, and the Gator Bowl is okay with it and takes an ACC team like Florida State or Miami instead, it might make sense for everybody to do that. So we'll just have to let it all play out. But yeah, I wouldn't mind the Music City Bowl either, but certainly Outback Bowl is my first choice.
And to be honest, for a fan's perspective, the Music City Bowl may be the best place for Indiana, because that may be the best place to draw a bigger crowd, since it's right down I-65 in Nashville. You got a direct corridor from Indianapolis and everything that funnels into that right down to Nashville, for easy for fans to get to.
Yeah, but it's also going to be 45 degrees. I mean, I vote Tampa in 80 degrees in a heartbeat.
I'm right with you. I'm right with you, because Indianapolis also has direct flights.
I have been to the Music City Bowl before, and it was like 38 degrees, and no, it wasn't fun. So it's I would much prefer a warm weather bowl, but certainly for convenience sake, Nashville would be nice, and Nashville's just a ton of fun. But I definitely want a warm weather destination for sure.
Indiana to win this game, and they can, but they cannot do what they did last week against Penn State and shoot themselves in the foot. They can't make mistakes like they made with the punt, with the bad fake punt, with the drop touchdown pass, because that game came down to a couple of plays that completely changed the outcome.
Sure. I mean, it's that's what I wrote about after the game. I mean, it also takes time to learn how to win as a winning team. And, I thought Tom Allen panicked a little bit with the whole fake punt thing. And, to me, they just should have punted then. And it was a 6-point game. They just should have punted and buried them and just kept on playing. And I think there was a little bit of panic involved there. And, it kind of messed that up. But, it was a 1-score game. And, the biggest thing I think, that they need to do is really keep Shea Patterson in check with his legs. In the Michigan State loss and the Penn State loss, the common thread there was that the quarterbacks got out on third down and with their legs, beating blitzes and making first downs and keeping them on the field. And, that can't happen against Michigan. Indiana needs to be able to get off the field and get the ball back in the hands of their offense. And to me, that's going to be critical, and I also, especially if they could get play from ahead and put the pressure on Michigan and try to, Shea Patterson will turn the ball over at times. So I think if they can play with a lead and keep him in the pocket, they've got a chance.
And the one thing that they're going to be playing against the best defense that they've seen at least since Ohio State. If you look statistically, Indiana's leading tackler, Michael McFadden, with 46 tackles, does not make the top 3 on Michigan. Hudson has 83 tackles, Glasgow has 71, and Hawkins 53 for those guys. So they're a very active defense. They've got to do what they've done successfully all year, and that's protect the quarterback. They've got to give Peyton Ramsey the time to throw the ball.
Yep, but they've done that all year. I mean, they're first in the league in sacks allowed, and they've kept both quarterbacks clean in the pocket, and and I think they can do that. Michigan's defense is just different under Don Brown. I mean, everything gets funneled to those 3 linebackers, which is why they have so many tackles. I mean, it's for Indiana, their defensive linemen have made a lot of tackles, and even Khalil Bryant, coming up there and playing in the box. He had a dozen tackles last week. They're just 2 different offenses. But I'm sure Kalen DeBoer has watched Michigan-Ohio State film to see how to abuse this defense. Because this is the same defense that was ranked highly last year that gave up 62 points to Ohio State. So it's they can be beaten in a lot of ways. And I firmly expect Indiana to score 30 or more on Saturday as long as the weather cooperates.
It would be nice to see, because the one thing that Indiana has not done is to beat somebody that is a somebody. And if you want to really put a stamp on this season, man, that would do it. And you talk about sending yourself off into the postseason. A win like that could really catapult the program in so many ways, especially with recruiting.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's after that 4-game winning streak where they beat Maryland and Nebraska on the road. I mean, they used all of that to their advantage when they were out on recruiting, talking about, how this is a team on the rise and it's going to make things happen. And, I've been, I made them on Monday, I made that point that they didn't have a signature win yet this year. And everyone involved in that program reminded me that they hadn't won at Nebraska in 60 years. And to go to Nebraska and win, whether they're having a down year or not was a huge deal. So I will give them that and say that was a bit of a signature win, but I still stand by my point. Let's beat somebody that's ranked, a top 10, top 15 team like Michigan. That would be a signature win in my book.
Yeah, I agree. They have not beaten somebody that's a somebody right now, and that's right. The key. So what do you got coming up that the people need to know about?
Well, getting a lot of love for the story I did on Raekwon Jones. It's his last home game after 5 years in Bloomington on Saturday, and he just had a tremendous year. We talked a lot about how honored he was to be able to give a speech in that George Taliaferro statue thing. Just a really nice takeout there. Of course, I got the 3 things I want to see previewing the game today. I got some basketball stuff coming. I got a nice story on Joey Brunk coming a little bit later today, and then of course we get everybody ready for game day on Saturday. And then next week I start the first of my next generation takeouts on the Indiana basketball recruits. I had a great visit with Trey Galloway up in Culver, Indiana yesterday, and just got some tremendous stuff from him. So that's going to roll out starting on Wednesday. We'll take a good look at all 3 of the Indiana kids. And he had a lot of interesting things to say about the Dawson Garcia recruitment too. And he feels bad that he's not coming, but a lot of good stuff. And that'll be coming on Wednesday. And that's the first part of a series on all 3 of the Indiana kids. A nice long takeout so everybody can kind of get to know who these kids are.
All right, Tom, we look forward to it. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Sounds good. We'll be there. And then Monday night basketball, too. It's I get to work on my birthday Monday night. So it's Indiana, Louisiana Tech on Monday on my birthday. I'm excited about that, too. So.
Happy early birthday, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Sounds good, Jim. Have a great weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.
You as well. Appreciate it. Tom Brew joining us from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Here, lots coming up. He's got that you can read about there on his site. But, man, it's a big, big weekend in Bloomington, a big weekend for the Indiana campus, Todd. A lot going on. The soccer on Sunday, football on Saturday, soccer on Sunday, and then, of course, basketball on Monday. So 3 successive days of action.
Yep, no doubt about it. They got you can watch or listen to the women's game tonight. Listen to that tonight. Get you all geared up. Early tailgating tomorrow. That 3:30. That's the perfect game time for that football game tomorrow. So other than I don't know the weather is going to cooperate perfectly. It looks like that's about prime time when it's going to rain. But you're right. Fun weekend, and you know what? I'm excited about it. Having this. This job and this opportunity, it's fun to think about everything that's going on in the weekend. And Monday and Tuesday shows are going to be jam-packed, full of stuff to talk about how they did in all these situations.
Absolutely. We got a little bit more to go when we close the show out. We'll do that when we come back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. We're back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
All right, all you Hoosiers out there, make sure you listen to my main man when it's time to talk about Indiana sports. Jim Coyle. All right.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary here on this Friday. TGIF. This used to be a Todd Friday.
That's right.
Now every day's a Todd Father Day.
Full dose of the Todd Father.
Now every day's a Todd Father Day, though.
Yep, you're welcome.
Oh my gosh. Last night, who was that, Jake? You said Hofstra beat UCLA in basketball last night. Man, our buddy Michael Lewis would not be happy. Almost texted him yesterday about getting him on the show here soon. I'll wait a few days now.
Yeah, you might want to hold off on that one.
I cannot believe they lost to Hofstra, man. Cronin has got to be livid.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it all week long, though. I mean, it's just this part of the season, those things happen. You don't expect them to lose at home to Hofstra. I agree with you, but I guess that's the way it is. New coaching staff, whole new program. I'll bet Michael Lewis has been watching film all night long.
Man, that's a great spot for him. I wish they had somebody if you want to have an Indiana guy on your staff in Indiana, he's the guy that I wish they had. I love his tenacity, his toughness. He's got that old school in him, but yet he's also smart enough. He knows what's going on today.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about that back during that time. The timing just didn't work out just right. I mean, things happen for a reason, and he had that opportunity about 2 weeks before Indiana had that assistant's job open. So, it just didn't work out this time. But never really had someone surprised you see him back on the sidelines for Indiana.
Absolutely. A lot of big games this weekend. We talked about those earlier. We made our picks in the Big Ten, none bigger than Ohio State and Penn State. For Indiana, there's none bigger than Indiana and Michigan. And you talk about the Big Ten East and how that ends up. These are the two top 4 teams in the Big Ten East are playing this weekend. Ohio State and Penn State, of course, and then Michigan and Indiana to determine who that third-place team is going to be in the Big Ten East. And as when Tom was on, he mentioned that the Citrus Bowl was still in play, which I really had put that out of mind because I didn't think that was within reach. But maybe it is. I was thinking if they got 9 wins, they'd end up in the Outback Bowl in Tampa because I don't know that it makes sense that the Citrus Bowl is still in play because that would mean if they don't go to the Citrus Bowl, then you got the Outback Bowl. But it's not. If they don't beat Michigan, I think they're either the Gator Bowl or in Nashville at Music City. But if they win, I think Outback, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will know a lot more about that after the weekend. I mean, we can speculate on it right now, but not just the Indiana. Well, I know, but not just the Indiana outcome, but I mean the Ohio State Penn State game and some of the other matchups. I mean, I think we're a few short days away from being able to eliminate some of those opportunities and maybe add some new ones to it.
Yeah, you've got other teams over on the western side that are playing. Minnesota, of course, has games. Iowa, Wisconsin, all those guys are playing. And that's going to have a determination on where everybody goes because the one thing about these bowl tie-ins, they're not relegated to exactly where you finish. But the higher you finish, obviously they get the option. And Indiana's getting one thing they have not gotten maybe ever. And I think that you can say ever. They are getting love from multiple bowls right now of stature. The Music City Bowl was the lowest end, and they won Indiana. The Gator Bowl wants Indiana because they've got the most kids on their roster from Florida than any team in the entire Big Ten, Todd.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy stat, to be honest with you. When you find that out, it's pretty surprising. But it tells you that they're going in the right direction and that they've gotten there. I want to say relatively quickly, even though for a lot of fans it doesn't seem that way. It's been a long time coming, but in 3 short years for Tom Allen, I mean, this is a good place to be, and having people, fight after you. And I'll call it, they're kind of Dawson Garcia you right now. You're just sitting back enjoying all the adulation and everybody tell you how great you are when you already know what you're going to do. But these guys are putting themselves in great position to be able to make those choices. This win would give different opportunities for Indiana that they've not had, like you said, really ever. The one Rose Bowl team was a 67, but a win today or a win tomorrow, and obviously finishing it out, beating Purdue, would give them some opportunities they've just never had before.
Joker texts in Indiana Sports Beat with the main man and the Todd father. Well, I don't know about being the main man, but Gus said that, but I'll take it. Tim texts in, Saturday, December 7th, IU's at Wisconsin at 4:30 would be a great day for you and Todd to come to Bubba's 33 for after the game and buy him dinner. LOL, it's an away game, of course. If we could swing that would be fun, man. We've had some good times down there.
I love that place. The food is so good. It's nuts.
Stupid good. It's so good. It's crazy.
I gain 7 pounds every time I go there.
Man, I miss my Friday dates with Dr. Reynolds. Roger's usually down there. Jay will stop by as well.
Good doctors, boy. They're doctors down there.
Absolutely.
Love the Reynolds docs.
Well, man, we appreciate everybody joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. It's been a great week for the Todd Fathers' first week. Welcome. I hope you made it through okay, and you can sleep all right tonight and just enjoy yourself.
I have thoroughly enjoyed the week and look forward to studying a bunch of stuff this weekend and having some big knowledge for you next week. I'm excited for the weekend.
We're back on Monday, of course, with the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier joins us as well on Monday. So we'll have plenty to talk about because Indiana's hopefully beating Michigan on Saturday. First of all, the women's team, hopefully they're beating Florida today, this evening. And hopefully Indiana beats Michigan. And on Sunday, hopefully Indiana beats Kentucky. And then Monday night, we'll be talking about the Hoosiers basketball team as they'll be taking on La Tech, Louisiana Tech, to get ready for that. So plenty to talk about on Monday. Come back and join us right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. Todd, appreciate it, brother. See you here in a minute.
Loved it. See you, brother.
And to everybody else, we appreciate you guys. Thanks to Jake. Thanks to all of our guests this week. We appreciate everybody being on the program. Richard Fan on today. Thanks to him as well. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.